Hello relatives, I hope that you can hear me okay. I'm in the road, or on the road shall I say, and I got these earbuds in which I don't trust, so I'm hoping to have no complications during this live video. So I'm on the highway, I-29 heading south, got some appointments today. I also get to see my big brother, so looking forward to that. I apologize for the camera. Let me see if I can fix it. Alright, there we go. And I'm going to do a reading out of this book, Meditation with the Native American Elders. And I hope that you can get something out of it. And if you do, feel free to comment. Now, I typically do these readings on Facebook Live, which I'm on now, but this video is actually going to be uploaded to YouTube. So I started my own YouTube channel, and for my Facebook family, I say thank you for tuning in, and also my new YouTube family, thank you, and please pardon the how shall I say it? Let's just say I'm still trying to get used to this. But I've been doing these videos now with these readings for, I think this is year 8 or 7. And I also I always issue the disclaimer that I have no idea what today's reading is going to say. Absolutely none. In fact, the only preparation that I do for this reading is to set up the camera and then to smudge down with sage and an eagle feather, which I've already done, but I did do that at home prior to hitting the road for obvious reasons, safety reasons. But if you're part of my new YouTube family, I just want to ask that you subscribe and share my videos. This should be only video number 3, and I anticipate that I'll be doing at least one video per week in hopes of growing. And so that's what these readings help us do, to grow as people, to grow in our lives, emotionally, spiritually, and even physically, and also socially as well. So it's a good way to look at things. And by the way, I'm really tired. I've been staying up all night painting, writing, and then doing my own homework, as far as I'm going through this homework phase. So excuse me, I'm gonna go ahead and do the reading, and please thank you for your patience, relatives. I am going to refer to everybody as relatives, because in our Lakota Dakota way, we have a saying, and that saying is Mitakuye Oyasi, which means all my relations, all my relatives. And it's traditional for us to address each other as relatives. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so today's reading goes like this. The natural law will prevail regardless of man-made laws, tribunals, and governments. The Great Spirit made laws by which man needs to live. These laws are just and are about living in harmony. Man has passed many laws that say it is okay to do things. Many of these man-made laws are out of harmony with the laws of the Great Spirit. These man-made laws will cause trouble for the human being if they are out of harmony with the laws of the Creator. And then there's a brief prayer at the bottom, and that prayer says, Great Spirit, teach me your laws. Alright, so good reading. We pretty much know what the man-made laws are. There's the judicial law, or however you want to call it. I'm a little bit at a loss for words on that, just because I'm very sleep deprived today. But obviously I'm going 80 mile an hour in a 80 mile an hour speed speed limit zone. So I'm following that law. I got my seat belt on. I'm following that law. I got my eyeglasses on. And for me, I have such poor eyesight. I have to have my eyeglasses on in order to be safely driving. I'm going to obey this sign that says yield for oncoming traffic, to look for oncoming traffic as well. So those are a part of law, judicial law, however you want to call it, social law. Now there's other law too that aren't necessarily going to have those type of consequences of if I get a speeding ticket, now I'm going to have to pay a fine. I'm looking at possible jail time if I go so far above the speed limit. And so there's social law in that. Those social constructs mean on the road means pull over if you see somebody who is in distress. I don't have to follow that law, but if I do, I'm rewarded with positive consequences by just doing a good deed, by meeting somebody new, by helping out. The laws of the universe, the laws of karma that state that what you do, what you put out, how you treat other people, what you put out into the world is going to come back to you 4 times over. I've heard 10 times over. So how you live your life is what life is going to put you in harmony with. And I think that's pretty much what good morning sunshine. I don't feel so sunny today, but you know what, it's a beautiful day. And so natural law and man-made law can conflict, can butt heads oftentimes, because man-made law is based on the constructs of, is rooted in the constructs of law that has been developed from a mind of only a certain people, shall I say, Western civilization. And natural law is the law that we live by. That is, man-made law is something that we're taught. That is something that we learn by the culture that we live in, by the society that we live in. So laws here in the United States might look a little bit different than laws in another country. And the consequences might be very, very different. In those that are charged with enforcing that law might look very, very different as well. And evidence to that is they say that that the United States, the land of the free, locks up and imprisons our own citizens at a rate that is far, far more than any other country in the civilized world, they say. I'll just use words like that. So basically, we have 20% of the world's imprisoned people reside here in the land of the free. And so that is indicative of something out of balance, whether, and I won't go too far into that, but I think you know what I mean. So there is an imbalance in these lands of the free. Now those are the numbers. So those are the studies, those are the numbers, and you can dispute them, or you can disagree or agree, or think that maybe they should be higher, they should be lower, but those are the facts based upon the studies, based upon the numbers. And there's a lot of money that go behind that, trust me. And those are the ones that are actually in prison. We're not talking about the ones that are under supervision, that are on parole, that are on probation, that are going through the system, the judicial system as we speak. And that also doesn't count the ones that are getting out. Okay, so that's an example of man-made law. And obviously, again, man-made law has created a severe imbalance, because within that man-made laws don't necessarily address social constructs or social laws of poverty, and how poverty plays into, is an integral component in how, and can very much predict how a person's life will unfold. And so the reason I bring that up is because man-made laws have strayed away from spiritual and natural law. Man-made laws are typically rooted in materialism, in social hierarchies, and by that I'll just use sort of the euphemism or the saying that says it doesn't matter what you know, it matters who you know. We all know that people who live in poverty or come from poverty are much more higher in prison rates, struggles, social, sit at the bottom of the hierarchy of that social construct. And then you see the people with money, with material goods, which make a very small percentage of society in citizenship, but can basically buy their way through every facet of social and organized. They can buy their way, they get into the best schools. You can basically buy your way throughout your life. And that's the way that it's set up. You can disagree or you can agree with me, that's up to you. But I think for the most part, that's pretty much common. We all know that. Now there's natural law. And let me go back. And so basically, social law, judicial law, cultural law in mainstream society in the U.S. basically lives out of harmony with natural law. And even if you look at how we live our lives, we live by the law of the alarm clock. We get up, we go to work, we make the money, we drive, we basically prioritize that cycle of, and they call it the American dream, and I'm not going to go too much into that. But those are the things that romanticize basically what is making us, this system is making us sick. Let me just put it that way. Because we've been conditioned to believe that we have to work, meet that 40-hour quota, and oftentimes much more than that, and ignore natural law, which natural law is a part of the laws of nature. And since we are nature, there's a conflict. Because social law and social constructs tell us that we have to work so many hours a day. And we have to climb the ladder of success. When in fact, there's the imbalance that I had already spoken of. And so we have to, in order to live and succeed and to have security, our lives need to be very much in balance and invested in a man-made law that is out of balance. And that is indicative of, if you look at the health system and how that is completely out of balance. If you look at how we as individuals walk around and look and appear, and I won't go too much because I don't want to offend anybody, but the obesity rates, the high blood pressure rates, the health, we are in a constant state of health crises. We are in a crisis as individuals and as a society. But since the social law leans towards materialism, it just reinforces that cycle of social law. It feeds it. It's just like a very unhealthy, I just will refer to it as kind of like a beast that feeds upon itself, that feeds upon the people. And the more that it feeds, the more that it needs. But it's also kind of like a trickster in that it convinces us as people that as long as we make that 40 hours, as long as that we're able to have the latest cell phone, we are succeeding. But natural law tells us something different. And that is indicative, that the main indicators are the social constructs which dictate that, hey, you rise to the top based upon what you know, who you know, what your job title is. And typically, those constructs are based on how much money you have. And I'm not saying that you can't succeed based upon money, because I know a lot of people that have succeeded with no money. But basically, there's a lot of programs set up to provide that assistance. So the money is very much a part of that system. Only it's set up. The social services system is set up to assist. So even the systems, it's just all rooted in materialism. And I don't want to offend anybody and say that if you didn't climb and work your way up the ladder, I'm not saying you didn't work hard. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But for the most part, if you look at our leadership in our governments, whether they be civil governments or whether they be state governments or whether it be national or that our our leadership, you'll notice that pretty much every single person involved in there is involved in that materialism first cycle of law. And it's a very tight-knit circle, man. You got to abide by. You got to basically live out of harmony to succeed in that cycle. That's why we know now that, look at the political structure, the leadership structure of our country right now. That's why when a politician is actually honest, we're surprised, right? So the system is set up that way. It just is. You can argue with me all you want to about it. We'll just have to disagree with that. Now, natural law is a whole nother way of life. And so natural law says, at least in our indigenous way, is that when we abide by natural law, there's different consequences when we stray away from natural law. And that's what mainstream society has done, and we're all paying the price. But society construct is made for that. And so by natural law, it is calling us back. It is asking us to return to the sacred circle of natural law so that we can be in harmony. And by that, one of the biggest examples, the greatest examples that I can tell you is, are we not more of a society that is really sort of rooted in addictions, right? I mean, aren't there so many addictions today? And it just seems like it's even getting worse. And so, addiction of technology, and there's symptoms of addiction. Okay, so I won't go into all of that. Relatives, thank you for hanging in with me. I am just absolutely exhausted. All I know is that I've never been one to ask for money. I just grew up that way. I grew up poor. I didn't ask for money. I never did. And even to this day, I don't feel this urgency to have more. I don't. Sometimes I wish that I did have a little bit more of that. But our indigenous ways are closely connected, and there's an interconnectedness with natural laws. And those natural laws put us in harmony. And so since we are in harmony, we know that many people are out of harmony. So you can be out of harmony in your own life, and that has become normalized. And another indicator of that is the increase of pharmaceuticals. You see, pharmaceuticals are one of the major politicians are one of the major benefactors of big pharma. So our health isn't prioritized in this society. We have to return to the sacred circle to start to receive that. What do you call that? When a doctor gives you a diagnosis, right? We have to diagnose ourselves. We have to look at ourselves and pay attention to our bodies and say, look, I need to make some changes because I am overweight. And we have to be real honest with ourselves. I'm obese, or I'm much too thin. We have to really get honest with ourselves, because being in balance, our bodies are made up of natural law. They are made up of nature. But this society is built to feed us fast food. Everything is fast. Everything is fast. I'm quickly climbing the ladder of success. come through the drive-through and get the latest, and that's the marketing strategy that reinforces this commercialized, unhealthy, out of harmony construct, the way this society has been constructed and reconstructed to enforce that which is out of harmony. And so all the symptoms are there. Look at the way that we're looking. Look at the way that we are walking around. Obesity, I think, is up to 70%. The addict, the addiction has just absolutely skyrocketed. Poverty has skyrocketed, but also the balance of the people who hold the power, right? The power. And that's what we're doing, is we're feeding into a system that disempowers most people, brings us out of balance, and empowers that disharmony. So we're basically eating ourselves. It's almost like a cannibalistic society, and it's severely out of harmony. And so when we come back to the circle, we start to really look ourselves in the mirror, and it's reflected by just look around. Just look around. We've been socialized to believe that we can only take one day out of the week on Sunday mornings or Sunday afternoons to attend sweat ceremony or church ceremony, right? So one day out of the week we do that. The other days we're making ends meet, we're running to the stores, we're picking the kids up from school, and by then we're so exhausted that we just flip on the TV, which then commercializes making things easier for us, which is that cycle of disharmony. It is a perpetual cycle out of harmony, and it's reinforced all around us. And so what we need to do is come back to the sacred circle, come back to nature, come back to ourselves, call our spirits back, come back into honestly, gut level honesty, evaluate, make an assessment. We know what the doctors are going to tell us already, right? High blood pressure, overweight, nutrition. I mean, a good doctor is going to tell you that. Stress. And what are we stressed over? We're stressed because we are trying to live out of harmony. Our efforts are going into out of harmony living. And so basically even the medical doctors are a part of that system as well, because the medical doctors, the nurses, the ones that are taking care of us, the ones that are our safety providers, and we know that's definitely out of harmony as well. And that is you look at the numbers of people in healthcare, they experience more stress than the studies show. The people that are politicians, the people that have been afforded, have earned that right to protect us, our law enforcement. If you look at the studies of their socialized lives, you'll notice higher rates of stress, higher rates of medication, higher rates of obesity, higher rates of divorce, relationships. So it's worked its way into every facet of our lives, relatives. Disharmony is all around us. In Grandmother Earth, the four directions, our own bodies, which is a part of the star nations, the wind is a part of the plants. I mean, look it up. There is no division. All this studies have been done. Billions of dollars have been invested into finding what makes us separate when there isn't no division anyway. There isn't any division. Division does not exist in that harmony world. It just doesn't. It doesn't. The same thing. There's billions of stars. There's even a belt of what do you call those? Comets and asteroids that go around that every 40 some years that get close to the Earth. The same thing that make up those comets, the same what do you call it? Ingredients are the same ingredients that are in us. They're made of water. They're made of iron. They're made of nickel. I'm not exactly. All I know is those ingredients are in our Mother Earth, and they're in us. Same thing. And so so our natural law says that we are in harmony with all of creation. But again, we have been convinced to this is a life and death brainwashing. And it's been strategized. There's a strategy to it. Turn on the TV and you're going to see everything that we need by this materialistic culture that says we need this, we need that, we need this. And what does it do? It brainwashes us into thinking that's what we need, but it also brainwashes us into thinking if I don't have those, then there must be something wrong with me. Look at our holidays. They're no longer holidays about spirituality. They are holidays about materialism. And so everything is telling us, everything, our own bodies, our spirits are telling us, and they're made to tell us. We cannot buy that. They are made to tell us. They're always going to tell us when we're out of harmony. That's why you see mental health issues at such a high level. Now, I don't know what you can do about it because our lives are so invested in that out of harmony. That's what it's become. Our lives are so much invested, but there are things that we can do to have balance. There's always going to be disharmony, and there's always going to be harmony. That's just the way that nature is. That's it. It exists in everything. There's hot, there's cold. There's black, there's white. There's winter, there's summer. There's up, there's down. There's east, there's west. There's tall, there's short. There's male, there's female. There's the sun, there's the moon. Okay? But you'll notice everything is round. Everything is round. And that is indicative, that is an indicator of a cycle. That everything moves, everything has life. And so to bring us back, now we know we're going to be out of harmony. As human beings, we can't escape that. That's natural law. We can't always be in harmony. No, because how would we learn? How would we continue to evolve? How would we gain wisdom? So nature is set up, natural law is set up to be out of harmony and in harmony. And right now, for the most part, society is severely out of harmony. And so as indigenous people, we know the secrets to be to being in harmony. We know how to be absolutely broke and have absolutely no money and to still be grateful. We know through 500 years of it actually being, or over 100 years of it actually being illegal to be Native American, illegal to be indigenous. We still are here. And more in what we're seeing now is what's been called a great coming together time. Is that more and more Native people, indigenous people, are going back to the sacred center. Because now we've recognized through all these hardships that we need to come back to the sacred center. And now only Native people, indigenous people are doing that, but we're seeing, and I know, okay, I know, and I think most Native people know this too, is we're seeing just drives and more non-Native people looking to connect to the earth, trying to get themselves more in balance. And we're seeing so many non-Native people come to our circles and ask for help. I mean, it's just blowing up. And so when we come back to the circle, we start to assess. We've made an assessment outside of the circles, a good, healthy assessment. Looked ourselves in the eye. And society doesn't want to look itself in the eye. It just is not going to. So we cannot wait. The waiting is over. We cannot wait for society to get it. It's not going to get it. It's going to be the people on an individual basis, on a family basis, on a community basis, and on a national basis. That's the natural law. That's the law. That's in harmony thinking. So if you're wanting to be in harmony and you're waiting for your family to get in harmony, that goes against natural law. If you have evaluated and made an honest assessment of the changes that you need to make and your spirit is telling you, then that is your spirit, and that is up to you to follow. And usually what happens is then you start to find other people on that path of harmony. We will find each other, relatives. We will find each other, and we will grow these communities in that interconnectedness. That is natural law. Excuse me. That is natural law. That is being in harmony. And when we find that community, we start to empower each other. The communities start to come back to each other again. And we start to acknowledge that, we start to accept and acknowledge and heal each other. We heal that which what we mirror, which is each other. We start to become our own healers. We start to help each other get in harmony and get out of harmony. We start to help each other identify what is making us sick. And we start to encourage wellness within each other. What does that look like? We start to learn what is making us sick, and we start to learn what makes us well. And sometimes we're so far removed from that wellness and harmonious circle, it feels too powerful, it feels too strange, it feels like it's too much. But when we work in harmony and in natural law, the thing about that is natural law starts to work with us, because all of Mother Nature is working in harmony within natural law. So now we're working with all of creation, and all of creation starts to work with us. So when we're going through those hard times of needing to make a decision and needing to make those changes in our lives, all of creation is going to work with us. And natural law says that there must be struggle. There has to be struggle. And so oftentimes when you are looking yourself in the mirror and you're saying, yes, I'm out of harmony, I need to make those changes. Now you are becoming teachable, because now you have got honest with yourself. And now you are becoming teachable, and natural law and all of creation will then start to help us learn. And there's story after story after story of how that gives evidence to that. And that's why when we first came upon this land, the trees provided us with what we needed, right? The land provided us with what we needed, right? The four-legged relatives helped us with what we needed, and we in turn agreed that we would be caretakers, that we would then be within that cycle, that harmonious cycle of natural law, that we would have a responsibility, that we would be good stewards to the land and to each other and to all the other beings that live on the earth. We would have that interconnectedness. But we're so far removed from that. But it doesn't take, we build it up into a big thing that we've been conditioned to make it harder than what it actually is. We've actually been conditioned, and it's just reconditioning itself by turning on the TV, by our leaders, and even with each other. But coming back to the sacred circle is natural. All we have to do is say, I want to come back. And we are grandchildren. The earth is much older than we are. This system of natural law, it has been around a lot longer than us as human beings. So when it was our time to be created, we were created as grandchildren. And so when we come back to the circle, all we have to do is treat every human being, a fox, a deer, a kitten, a dog, a tree, a blade of grass, as a living being. That is natural law. That is how we were brought into this system, this cycle of life. They said, we will take care of you, and you will be part of this. You are a grandchild, because we were the last to be created. And so we have to have that respect. Remember what I told you. I told you, mitakuye oyasi. I'm going to address you as a relative, but I'm not going to just address you, Molly, Scott, Jody, Shelley, as Kahashi. as hunkashi, cousin, sister, relative. That changes how I see you. That changes how you see me, and our relationship comes into harmony. But now I'm going to address Grandmother Earth with that type of respect. So now Grandmother Earth is going to give us gifts, is going to help heal us. I'm going to stand and I'm going to address the plant nations, the standing people, the trees, without whom we wouldn't even be able to breathe, right? And thank them and address them as a relative too. I'm going to address the deer nation because they sacrifice themselves, the cycle of life, as a relative. I'm going to address the sun with the star nations, Witape Oyate, as a relative because, well, without the sun, we would be gone in an instant. I'm going to address every living being as a relative. And since this is a fact, we are going to start to come into harmony. We are going to start to live by natural law. And natural law is going to help us make the changes that we need to make. Asking for help without asking for help from natural law doesn't make sense. It is out of harmony. That's why when you go to the doctor, they will ask you, well, where, they will do all this assessment, all this evaluation, blood work. And what is that blood work going to tell you? That you're deficient. And so what is going to make you efficient? It's going to be your connection to the healing to get you well. And that's what natural law is designed. It was set up long before, and then it invited the two-leggeds in. And then the two-leggeds were created. And the two-leggeds became a natural part of that, a natural law. But now we got too smart, and now we got too greedy. And natural law is set up to say and to give us indicators that we are out of harmony. We are out of natural law. And that's where spirituality takes place. And spirituality is just a word, right? Spirituality is a word. But the problem with those type of words, if you think about it, now this isn't my problem, but it was at one time. The spirituality makes it sound like spirituality is something to be obtained, to reach for, to have a goal for. We are already spirituality. We are spirituality in motion. We are spirituality in form. But so is the earth, so is the trees, so is the wind, so are the clouds, so is the sun, so are our four-legged relatives. So we are already spirituality. All we have to do is be our natural selves and be in harmony. And when we are out of harmony, just understand that that is part of natural law too. So when you're out of harmony, it is meant to show you that you are out of harmony and then provide you with that medicine to come back into harmony. But words like religion make it seem like that's something that we need to get, that we need to obtain, that is something outside of ourselves. And granted, that is partly true. because that's that interconnectedness with each other. But that spirituality, that religion is also within. And when we forget about within, we are out of balance. When we force others in such a way that say, well, you're less than because you don't own a cell phone, or you don't have Nikes, or you talk differently. Do you see how shallow that is? Do you see how sick that can make us? Right? That is out of harmony. But, okay, the cool thing about it is when we're out of harmony, we can come back into harmony, and we can say, that is what I've been habituated to think like that, but that is harming me, and that is harming others. And so now I'm going to bring that part of me to the circle, to natural law, to help heal my mind. And natural law is going to help us do that. And it's going to create harmony and interconnectedness. Natural law doesn't see skin color. It operates on a whole nother level that we are on. We're already on that level, but we get blinded by because we've been socialized to see the differences. And society and laws are made up to create those differences and strengthen those differences. That's why you'll see poor people at a higher rate being in prison. You'll see rich people buy the best lawyer, throw their money around, have the influence of the judges, and get off on what a poor person wouldn't be able. That's why you see that we are so out of harmony. But as somebody who is poor, doesn't mean that I have to think poorly of myself. I don't have to live by those dictates because I have less money in my pocket does not make me of less value in the eyes of natural law, in the eyes of creation, in the spirit of creation and all that is. Okay, so I can make changes to my self-image and my self-esteem just like that and be in natural law. So we can really make it much harder on ourselves than what it is. And again, spirituality resides everywhere. And yes, it is something that we can reach for and we should reach for, but just think about it. We forget that we are spirituality. We are already spirituality. And the rest of creation needs us to come back to the circle. And because we are a part of that cycle. And what will happen if we don't is creation will acclimate itself without us. It will heal itself with the wound of the missing human being. There will be a wound there. And it's already there. Creation is grieving because we are so out of harmony. We are grieving because we are so out of harmony. And what will happen is creation and natural law is set up. It will heal itself. And it will allow for the two-legged to destroy itself. We are the ones destroying ourselves. Because it is built that way. It will heal itself. It will identify an illness. And if that illness, and it'll do everything by natural law in which it's set up to do, to heal that. But if man doesn't do that for himself, natural law will then, remember, time is different in spiritual time. Time is different. We are just a blink of an eye in existence. The grandmother Earth will start to heal herself and grieve through the loss of her grandchildren. But since we're so greedy and we're so high and mighty, we think we think we're more important. And we'll do that even amongst ourselves. And so Grandmother Earth will acclimate all of creation, the winds, the rain, the winter is set up to cleanse itself. So natural law will cleanse itself of the human being. It will go through. It'll be out of balance. It'll be out of harmony. But in a short amount of time, it will identify the sore, the poison, which is us. And it will allow us, by natural law, to destroy ourselves so then that the earth can be purified of us and that it can heal. And the same goes true with us. We have to identify which is making us unwell. And the way to purify that is the pain and the healing. And then and part of that is coming back to the circle. I'm coming into town here, and I'm in here getting all razzled and getting all passionate, and people are looking at me and probably thinking God knows what. But so if you don't have no money, that doesn't mean that you're not rich. And if you have all the money that you have in the world, that doesn't mean that you are wealthy. Those are natural laws, and it's time for us to stop letting the culture of this sickness convince us that we have to reach outside of ourselves, that we have to have a medical doctor tell us what we already know. It's time to turn the TV off. It's time to stop thinking that we need the latest gadget to be who we already are. It's time to stop. And the problem with that then too is this is where most people chicken out. They chicken out because it's too much. Because it is hard to look within. It is difficult to do that if you've been so far away from the sacred circle. It's hard if you're in a crappy marriage. And so that's why you see so many people demonstrating other addictive personalities, other ways of denial, living in complete misery with all the material things that they can have, completely miserable. That's why you see so much finger pointing towards the drug addict on the street. That's why they're saying, lock him up. We know that being an addict has more to do with somebody that is traumatized, so we're locking up hurt people. We're punishing people for having been hurt in the first place. Because society law says we don't want to look at ourselves, so we need to point the finger. So as poor people, we have to start to value healing. We have to take the lead. We can't wait for the government to do it. We can't wait for DHS to do it. We can't wait for the treatment centers to catch up to us. We can't wait. We can't wait. We have to be the ones to do the impossible. We have to make possible that which is impossible. We have to be the leaders of the two-legged. Natural law will work with us. And all the money in the world is not going to pale in comparison, because money is a man-made construct based on fear, materialism. Now, fear is part of harmony, and we need fear, don't get me wrong. But anyways, hey, I can get a little carried away with these, so I'm probably going to go ahead and end this. I'm just going to say good morning to everybody that watch. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for tuning in. If you have a comment, and when this goes on YouTube, please subscribe. Please share my videos, and I will check in again with another reading. And I just want to say thank you again, and we will talk to you again soon. I got to figure out how to end this.